Hi guys, welcome back to Nixie DIY Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to create these super simple 3x3 Christmas cards. You're going to be using very minimal supplies. I'm also going to show you 3 techniques to create the envelopes to go with your mini cards. Stay tuned. I wanted to show you how I cut my standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I'm making 3x3 cards, so out of an 8.5 by 11 you can get 3 3x6s, 1 2x6. I've cut 2 tags that measure 2 inch by 4 and 1 mini tag that measures 2 by 3. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be using this one yet. So for right now, my only scraps are this little piece of paper here and this little tag. And I might still use this at a later time. Now, I don't really throw away scraps because I make embellishments out of my scraps. So I'm just going to set these aside to show you that I'm going to be using pretty much my entire 8.5 by 11 sheet. But on this video, I'm going to show you how to create simple 3x3 cards. My cards again are 3x6 scored at 3. And the embellishments that I will be using are these images that I purchased on Etsy, and I sized them to work for my project. So these cards are super easy. I'm also going to be using some washi tape, and this is gold glitter. First thing I'm going to do is fold my cards over. They've already been scored at 3. I'm then going to place my image. Now my images are cut 3 inches by 2.5. So I have this strip here that is not covered, and that's where my washi tape is going to come in.
I like using wet glue when assembling these type of cards because wet glue gives you a few seconds to just move the item around if you didn't place it completely straight. But also use your desk to tap down and move your pieces into place.
Like that. Now I'm going to take my washi tape and I'm going to line it up to the spine of my card. And I cut enough so I can then trim it. But see, now it lays a little bit on top of my image. Let me trim this now. And there you go. There is your first card. Let's do another one.
A tip to remember when creating these type of cards, I'm using my desk to help me line up my artwork. You'll see here that I place my art and I'm placing it at the edge of the card, and I'm tapping the card down on my desk just so it will help me line it up all the way to the edge. Then for my washi tape, I'm using the fold line, the seam of the card, to help me line up the washi tape for a straight line.
Now I noticed that my image is a hairline shorter, so I'm just going to give that a trim. And fixed. Look how beautiful that looks. Last card.
And that's it. These are our 3 completed 3x3 Christmas cards. Now let's make some envelopes. For the envelopes, I'm using a 12x12 pattern paper. Out of a 12x12 sheet, you can make 4 envelopes. This is your only piece of scrap out of this entire 12x12. This corner piece measures 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and you can make a 4th envelope using your punch board. Here, I'm adding the pieces that I've cut, so you can see how everything was cut. Your first cut will be the center cut. second cut, third cut, and from the right hand side, fourth cut. Now let's go to the paper trimmer. Your first cut will be at 6 3/4. Your next cut will be at 5 1/4. You're going to cut again at 5 1/4. And this is your only paper scrap. For your fourth cut, turn your page horizontally and you're going to cut at 6 1/4. And now you're left over with a piece that measures 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. For the first envelope, we're going to use the envelope punch board. Look for the size of your card. It will state what size paper you need and where to make your first score. For a 3x3, you need a paper that measures 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to line this up on the 2 5/8 score mark, punch, and use the score tool to make my first score. For the next score, you're going to take that score line, line it up with the little tip, and make your second score. Turn paper, line up your score line with the tip, punch, and score. And you're going to repeat that until you've completed the last 3 corners. Now let's fold all of our corners. And when assembling envelopes, you can use either wet glue or double-sided tape. For these, I'm going to use double-sided tape. This next step is optional. You can round the envelope using a corner round punch or using the same envelope punch board, flip it around, insert your envelope tip, and punch, and that will round your envelope. For the next envelope, we're using the scoreboard. I'm using a 6 3/4 by 5 1/4 paper. Your first score will be on your 6 3/4 side, and you're scoring at 2 and 5 1/4. Turn your paper, and on the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score at 1 and 4 1/4. Now we're going to do some cutting. We are going to cut the 4 corners. I like to cut at an angle. Your paper should look like this. I'm going to use double-sided tape to assemble the envelope as well. I notice that my cuts are not even, so I'm going to trim some more and try my best to make them equal. When assembling envelopes, I find that it's easiest to assemble them using double-sided tape. Just make sure it's a good double-sided tape. You don't want your envelopes falling apart. On the top flap of the envelope, I always leave an overhang so I can trim it so the strip looks nice and neat. You completed your second envelope. For the third envelope, I created a template using chipboard. I cut it down a hairline bigger than the 3x3 card. I used a popcorn box. I cut 4 pieces, same size, glued them together, and it made it really thick. I even on the back added my notes on how to cut my 12x12 sheet. This process works well, especially when you are mass producing envelopes. But my first go-to when creating envelopes is always the envelope punch board. But if you don't have one, you can create a template just like I've done here. And you don't need fancy materials. If you don't have chipboard, you can use like what I've done. I repurposed a box. Using the template, all I've done is fold around my template to create all of my score lines. Remember, don't make it super snug. You want to be able to slide your card in and out. Now let's cut our 4 corners. If you are creating these as gifts or for your craft fairs, I recommend creating sets of 3 cards and 3 envelopes. When you make your envelopes, use the same technique per kit. For example, if I'm making envelopes using the envelope punch board, I will make 3 envelopes using the punch board with my cards. If I'm using the chipboard technique, then I will create 3 envelopes using the chipboard technique. When you put these envelopes together, you'll notice the size difference. It's off by a hairline.
This is why I recommend, if you are selling these at a craft fair, that your envelopes are all the same exact size. Now you have learned 3 different techniques: how to create an envelope using your envelope punch board, your scoreboard, and a chipboard template. Hope you were inspired by this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.